Excuse me?
Got his attention.
Got his attention. Real quick. But he had been adjusted, and he was trained or trustworthy. Because that shepherd of that flock knew that he knew where home was. And he knew where the water holes were. And you see, they couldn't get out. One shepherd could not get out and watch over thousands upon thousands of sheep. So they had these Baal sheep. And the reason they called them Baal sheep is because they would put that bell, a cowbell like, around their neck. And those sheep, when they would get out and get lost, they would listen for that bell. Y'all, I wish I thought that somebody that had a cowbell. Y'all know what a cowbell sounds like? Ding, 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 ding. You know? But when those sheep would hear that bell, they would follow that sound. And those sheep, when they were so adjusted to that or used to that wherever that bell sheep would go, they would follow. If he would go into the sheep cote, that's where they would go. If he would go to the water hole, that's where they would go, Jack. If he'd go over a cliff, that's where those other sheep would go, because they would follow blindly. And that is a deacon's job, not to lead them over a cliff, Vernon, but to lead them into the sheep cote, into the fold, before the shepherd into them. That is the deacon's responsibility. He is supposed to have the same qualifications as does the pastor. He is supposed to have the same kind of lifestyle. He's above reproach. He is an example. He is supposed to do what God has called him to do, just like the pastor. But while the pastor is seeing to the spiritual need, the deacon should be seeing to the physical needs. He should be taking care of the house of God. I ain't done yet. I ain't just got started. I'm going to leave off the deacon. I'm going to leave you there. What about the wives? Hello. What about the wives? Got the deacon and the pastor. I know where the skeletons are buried. I'm not sure. Greater is he that is in me than he that carries the baseball bat. Just remember, it's her part, not mine. But this is a faithful saying worthy of all acceptation. Done got this. I don't know if it's devil or that thing. Even so must their wives be grave, not slanderers, not gossips, not tale carriers, sober, and that does not mean not drinking. Sober means strong-minded, straight-minded. It don't mean that you cannot have a good time, but it does mean that you are have your mind one sense. Not wasteful. Faithful in all things. Come on. I ain't going to pick on you today. Because I'm going to pick on the church's soul. But you're supposed to support your husband. I know. But you're supposed to be faithful and faithful. You're supposed to support the leader, the pastor, as his everything. To be there, he's rubbing his feet after he's walking the door. To fix him a good dinner after he's fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Come on. To take care. To be a blessing to him. And he is supposed to be a blessing to you. He's supposed to care for you, see to your needs as well. But you see, we all have responsibilities. And if God has called you, whether you be a deacon, a pastor's wife, a deacon's wife, a song leader, a piano player, a Sunday school teacher, whatever. If he has called you to do something, and you are not doing it, then God has every right to take that talent away from you and to cast you into outer darkness, because you have disobeyed. What is the penalty for disobedience, deacon? What's the penalty for sin, church? Disobedience is a sin, isn't it? Disobedience is just right next door to rebellion. What does the Bible say about the sin of rebellion? What is the penalty for the sin of witchcraft? Death. And when we are disobedient to God, we are in rebellion to what He says, which means we are as close to being in witchcraft as you can be, and God has every right to just strike you down. Only by the grace and the mercy of God does He not do it. And as a church, I've spoken about the duties of the pastor and the deacon and the pastor's wives. But I want you to realize one thing, especially about ministers. On top of these duties, we have other duties as well. Because we not only have the duties of the pastor and the minister, we have the duties of being a Christian. Now, the Christian or the church has certain duties. They have a responsibility to the pastor, to the minister, to support them prayerfully, whatever other ways that is possible. That is their responsibility. One of the responsibilities to the minister. The responsibility is to hear what he says when he is preaching the Word of God. If he gets out of the Word of God, then that responsibility is gone. But as long as he is preaching the true, uncorrupted, undefiled Word of God, then you have a responsibility as a Christian, as a church member, as a member of the body and the bride of Christ, to heed what the man of God is saying to you. Listen and learn to read the book, to be a blessing